I'm from Colombia, and Colombia is a very Catholic country. So all I knew about God was people going like, oh, this and that and this and that. And I'm like, what is that? Well, I would ask my friends like, hey, how do you know that, dude? And they're like, oh, you got to go to like Dominical school or something like that. I was in church and I could see all of my friends and girls and stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. But I never understood anything of what the father was saying because all I could hear was like, and everybody would stand up and do all this stuff. They used to do it in Latin. Nobody spoke Latin. The whole God thing for me was always super weird. My mom and my dad split up when I was like 12 years old. My dad was my mom's God. Like she loved my dad like nothing else in the world. She meets Jesus and she has a super huge transformation. I was 12 years old. By the time I'm 14, my mom is inviting us to church and all this stuff. And I say yes. So I go to church, Christian church. So I get in and everybody's clapping and dancing and oh, hallelujah. They sit down and then the guy starts talking and I understand what he's saying. And then he starts explaining it. And I'm like, oh, dude, like this is the first time that I actually understand this. So in the middle of the service, I'm like, and then I ask a question, and then the guy's like, okay, second question. And he goes, okay, he answers me. Third one, and he's like, this doesn't work like that.
Right.
You write all the questions you have, and at the end, I'll explain it to you. The guy actually answers to me at the end. And what I understood was, if you do this prayer with a lot of faith, you'll go to heaven. All I have to do is like believe a lot. Okay, I'm going to believe a lot. And I did the prayer, and oh, well, I'm going to heaven. This is awesome. I walk out of the room and I go back to my regular life because I didn't understand anything.
Were you convinced at that moment that you were going to heaven after doing that prayer?
Yeah, because that's what I understood. If you do this prayer with a lot of faith, you're going to go to heaven. Because the whole point is like, hey, do you know where you're going if you die right now? And it's like, oh, no, I don't. Oh, you don't want to go to hell. So, do this prayer so you go to heaven. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'll do it. And if I die, I'm going to heaven. So
how was your life after that?
The same. I'm trying to have sex. I'm a virgin at the time.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to have sex with girls and stuff. And I'm like, all right, let's go back to it. And if I die, I go to heaven because I did the prayer. I never had a drastic change. I never had a drastic anything. By the time I'm like 17, I remember I went to a congress. It was in Bogota, which is the capital city of Colombia. And Bogota at the time was very cold, where there was probably like 500 people. Something came down and it felt warm from the waist up and I could feel cold from the waist down. So that was my first experience with the presence of God. But still, I was just like, yeah, and then, I grew up and then I had a girlfriend and I was having sex and it was like all good because I did the prayer.